In today's show, we look back at Tuesday's action in the NBA, an update on Karl Anthony Towns, and some breaking news on some Portland Trailblazers. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_Beeble, on TikTok at redrock_Beeble, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Basketball GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NBA GM? Of course you have. And managing your basketball franchise? Then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebasketballgm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On, all caps, in the game. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So we're here to look at the action from Tuesday. There were 6 games on. We're going to talk about those 6 games. We're going to talk about some news as well. Warnie.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right, we'll go through all this news on here. Karl Anthony Towns looks like he's going to return on Wednesday. Wow. All right, there you go. So looks like Towns is back. I expect that he'll be heavily limited. I expect that he will sit back-to-backs. I think it is worth holding onto Kyle Anderson just to see what happens. If Towns plays 29 minutes, then Anderson probably isn't going to be worth it. But if Towns plays 20 minutes or 22, you'll probably still get 28 out of Anderson, and that will be enough. So I'd like to hold him through Wednesday and see what happens. And then we can make assessments from there. It could also be the case that Anthony Edwards sits because he's questionable, and then Towns is back, but Edwards is still out, and Anderson still plays 30 minutes, but he plays more at the 3 than at the 4. That's a possibility too. So don't be so quick to drop Kyle Anderson, but the big news there is Towns is coming back, and I would say it'd be pretty unlikely at this stage that he doesn't play on Wednesday. Again, he will be limited rest of season, but he is returning. Portland is the opposite. Jeremy Grant, 10 days ago, copped a hit in the thigh, and we said, look, if he's going to be ruled out Wednesday, we have real worries about where he's headed for the rest of the season, because that's 10 days since that injury. He's out. And then out of nowhere, Anthony Simons has been ruled out with foot soreness. I don't really know how best to phrase this, but I don't know this for sure, because I don't know this for sure. But I also do have a fairly strong, very strong inclination of information that I have been told. Again, this is information that comes, not, secondhand stuff, but I've been told that we might have seen the last game for Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. I do not know this for certain. Let me assure you of that. But I would feel very comfortable if I had to lean one way or the other in saying that would be the case. I also have been led to believe that Dame's got about 3 to 4 games left. That's the understanding. That ties in with what I've said about Lillard for the last week or so.
Oi, Damo, give us your lighter.
Is that I think Lillard will play this week and then be out next week. So my understanding is that Simons, Grant could be done. Very good chance they're done. And that Lillard probably wraps it up next week. As for Jusuf Nurkic, I have no idea. That one, I think there's a risk that he doesn't play rest of season, but I don't know about that. He's definitely in for tomorrow, as is Damian Lillard. So the question then is going to be, well, who benefits? Well, given that we still have uncertainty, I don't really know. I would be looking at Trendon Watford. I think he'll go back and start in place of Grant, and I think Reddish will start in place of Simons. So both of those guys become 12-team league players. It boosts the floor of Matisse Thybulle into a 12-team league option as well. The sneakier one becomes a Shaden Sharp or a Drew Eubanks. I don't know what they do. Like, if Lillard and Simons are both gone, no one's a point guard on this team. Does Reddish play point guard? Do they start Ryan Archer-Jacker? No, maybe. because they can't really start Sharp or Reddish there. Maybe they do that. I don't know. But I would expect coming really soon, we're going to get Sharp, Reddish, Thibault all playing 30 plus a night. Watford playing 30 plus a night. Watch for Jabari Walker to get 25 plus a night. Watch for Archer Jacquino to get 20 a night. Watch for Keon Johnson to get 15 a night. Watch for Eubanks to get 26, 27 a night. The Nurkic one, I don't really have any information. I'm just sort of trying to put 2 and 2 together there. The Simons and Grant one, yeah, I had that feeling. I have that feeling. And Lillard, again, probably play a few more and then be done next week. Can't tell you that for sure, but I can tell you that I am leaning to believe that would be the case. I hope you are understanding what I'm saying. In the anti-shutdown narrative, looks like Shea might be playing back-to-backs. I don't even know what to say about that. Shea's going to play back-to-backs according to Dagnott. Well, that's not true. He said it is looking way more likely that he will play back-to-backs, paraphrasing, than what it did a few weeks ago because the abdominal injury has responded well. So we're good to go. They've got a Thursday, Friday back-to-back. We'll see. But it looks like Shea will play back-to-backs. DeAndre Ayton's out on Wednesday, so you can stream in Bismack Biyombo. The wild thing, Jayshawn Tate is out again, so he didn't sit for a back-to-back rest.
Even the wild thing's gone well. I can't do much about that.
I actually fully applaud this because I don't think he's very good and it allows him to give more minutes to Tari Eason. So probably they are sitting him for tanking. But this helps benefit Eason. Şengün's going to play, so that would hurt Eason, but this maybe pushes him from 21 minutes to 25, keeping him on the radar. Jim Harden is questionable with an Achilles issue. Talked about that the other day, that he was limping significantly in the locker room. They have 3 more games, including a back-to-back this week. If he plays one, I will be surprised. I'll be surprised if he plays one game this week. And that means that Melton is back on the case. Kyle Kuzma missed today's game with the ankle sprain. They said it's pretty significant. I don't think he's back this week. So Gafford's value's up. Avdi's value's up. Kispert's value is up. Apparently Monte Morris's value is up. We'll talk about more of that when we get to the Wizards game. And then, despite my poor spelling there, Ja Morant is back tomorrow. They said, maybe. And then he's not in the injury report. They're also umming and ahhing about whether he's going to start. I wouldn't worry about any of that. He's fine. He's ready to go. Maybe he plays 29 minutes or 31 minutes instead of 33. I'm not that worried. I would consider holding Tyus Jones just because of this and ahhing, benching, starting stuff with Morant, but also because Dylan Brooks is suspended. So there is an opportunity for extra minutes there for Tyus. Maybe it's 3 to 4, which keeps his value up. And then we can assess after Wednesday's game whether he gets dropped in that situation. Today's episode is brought to you by the guys over at Ultimate Basketball GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NBA GM, and I know you have, and if you say you haven't, you're lying. I know you're lying. This is the game for you because you can hire coaches and hire assistants. You can make trades. You can train your players. You make your draft picks, your free agency moves, your trades, everything that happens in a basketball season. You do it on the Ultimate Pro Basketball GM game. It's completely free. You play it offline, on the go, wherever you want, whenever you want. So easy to do and so addicting to get in there and try and build a team into a championship contender. Locked On Fantasy Basketball listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise. I almost said instant because that's that other ad. 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. That's Locked On in all caps. To download the game, visit probasketballgm.com, scan the code on your screen, or look it up on the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. Ultimate Basketball GM. Start your dynasty today. The most added players off the waiver wire over the last 24 hours. Karis LeVert up by 16%. We talked about him on the buy low or the over underperforming show earlier today saying, hey, mate, he's just doing stuff that he never does. And he did it again today. So we keep rolling with him until that cools off. Scooter Magruder up 13%. I assume it's a one-game stream. They have one more game left this week. Livers might even play in that game. Magruder, see you later. Rocket, Royce O'Neal. Rocket? Nah, not Rocket. The Basmati man. Rocket didn't work there. The Basmati man, Royce O'Neal up 8%. Yeah, they've got 3 more quality games left this week. We like that one. Eric Gordon up 7%. I think that's actually worth a stream. The big fella, Lou Dort. Midwest, Dylan Brooks.
No, my son is also named Bort.
Up 7%. Absolutely worth a stream given their current schedule. Branham up 7%. Well, if you've ever been glass bottom boated, that is exactly what it felt like having Branham on your roster today. With everyone out, he stunk. He does not have a good category league sort of fantasy game line, and we saw the limitations for him today. Isaiah Joe up 6%. Again, the schedule works. You get some points and threes. There you go. And then the wave pool up by 5%. DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, with the Harden situation, absolutely. If he's there, go grab him. And let's see what happens over the course of this week. The most dropped players. Number 1 is Tyus Jones. I reckon that might be a little bit too soon. A little bit quick. I probably would have waited just to see. As I just mentioned, I would have waited to see exactly what happens with Morant tomorrow. Nembhard down 14%. Oh, I didn't even mention this. Tyrese Halliburton's been upgraded to questionable, which is shocking to me. Him and Duarte are both questionable. It doesn't mean that Halliburton's going to play, and I think there still might be a game off here, but Nembhard struggled anyway. See you later. The passport legend, Jalen Duren, down 12%. As soon as he was ruled out today, you drop him. Jeremy Sohan down 10%. Now that is a weird one.
Zohan now.
Now, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but a lot of people, as soon as they saw him and Keldon ruled out today, they went, oh, they're shut down for the season. Do I drop them? Like, no, that's not what's happened here, as far as I know. And Vassell was the other question. Oh, man, Vassell's shut down. Do we drop him now? No, they missed today. It's the first game of a back-to-back. I fully expect, and maybe I'm wrong, I fully expect Sohan, Vassell, Keldon, all those guys to play tomorrow. Zach Collins, I expect them all to play tomorrow. So, while it's frustrating that they didn't play today, I'm not sure they would have been that quick to drop him. Aaron Neesmith down 8%. Yeah, look, he struggles when they're healthy for sure. Trey Jones down 8%. I don't think that he's going to play. It was an interesting spot to drop Trey Jones today when he played 32 minutes. I don't know why that would have happened. I don't know why you possibly would have dropped Trey Jones today. But I'd be very okay with... He's probably... Look, I don't know. He's probably going to sit Wednesday. So if you wanted to get someone in Wednesday, Thursday, that's okay. But then they play again Friday, Sunday. He probably only plays one of those games. So I guess it's okay to move on from Trey Jones there. Timmy Hardaway down 8%. Yeah, he's rubbish. And Cam Reddish down 7%. Understandable. Go reverse course on that. I don't think Reddish is particularly good, and he will have inconsistencies. But I do feel, based on what I said before, I think we're going to get a pretty strong run of 30 minutes a night here from Cam Reddish for the rest of the season. Plus, a significant spike in usage down the stretch here. So, if Cam Reddish happened to be dropped, and if he happens to be available, might be worth looking at him and old Trendon as ads. Again, I hope you understand what I'm saying. The first game of the night, it was the mystical matchup between the Washington Wizards and the Orlando Magic. And old mates, Orlando win. 112 to Washington, 122 to Orlando. Look at these guys, just going out there having fun. For the Wizards, there was no Kuzma, so they started Corey Kispert. When he doesn't hit threes, there's not a lot else. 9 points, 1 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Not a terrible game. He's on the radar for points and 3 streaming, as long as Kuzma is out, and that's it. Porzingis, 30 and 6, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Man, what an absolute draft day steal this bloke's been. While Monte Morris played 32 minutes. 14, 2 and 8. You know how you can tell the Wizards are tanking? They're playing Delon Wright fewer minutes than Jordan Goodwin and Monte Morris. That's insane coaching. It is. Morris played 32 minutes, almost the most he's played all season. That's actually a pretty good game from Monte. And he can be a 12-team league option if he's going to play like that. But Delon played 16 minutes and had 2 points. That's not a particularly strong game from Delon. But you drop him if they're playing him like this. Jordan Goodwin played 19 minutes, 17, 3 and 3. Beal, I just talked about this on the buy low, sell high, saying Beal is the ultimate up and down guy. He was in my recap where he was 90th, and I said, hey, buy low. And then he was 21st, and I said, expect him to drop back off. One game after that, 16 points on 27% shooting, no threes, no steals, no blocks. This bloke's just all over the shop, all the time. Gafford played 24 minutes. This is all we need. 12, 3, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 87%. That's a 12-teamer. And as long as Kuzma is out, we're in. I haven't spoken about Denny Avdia, and I'll do it now. 34 minutes, 15 and 10, 3 threes and 2 steals. Unbelievable. Really, a really unbelievable game. Great game. I don't trust it at all. I've seen Kuzma be out multiple times. This is not what Avdia does. He took 6 shots. He hit 5 of them. If he hits 3 of those shots, we're at 11 and 10, which is still okay. The fact that he hit 3 threes obviously helps, and he was 3 of 4 from 3. Let's say he goes 1 of 4 from 3. So that's 6 points off. 9. Then that turns into 9 and 10 with 1 3 and 2 steals. And you look at it, okay, but you don't look at it that excitingly. He's not this good of a shooter. Absolutely not. And we've seen multiple examples of his production without Porzingis, and it's not like this. This is great. and we keep it in our head, but we don't have to overreact and think, well, now look at this. Kuzma's out, Avdija pushing up. It's not the case. For the Magic, I don't really know where this one came from.
Nice, Gary!
22 points, 6 triples, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 rebounds.
2 for 2.
And 70% shooting for Gary Harris. What a huge game. He is just like a threes and steals streamer. Do not overreact and add him in 12-team leagues. Paulo, 18, 9, and 8. Great. And he was excellently efficient. We haven't seen that for months. That's a great game. While Franz Wagner played 39 minutes and had 20 points. With 6 assists. Wendell Carter continued his strong play, 14 and 9, while Fultz had 17, 5 and 5. And old mate Cole Anthony really getting it done without Jalen Suggs. 16, 7 and 5 and remains a 12-team league player. Absolutely. On the back end of things, we'd seen Goga Badadze take the backup job away from Flaming Mo Wagner, but it went back to Wagner here. 15 points in 14 minutes, meaning that we don't know anymore. So even streaming for deeper leagues, we don't know. But what we do know is that Bol Bol was finally fully phased out of the rotation. 0 minutes for league savior Bol Bol. He was replaced in the rotation by Kevon Harris and Caleb Houston. Not that they played well, they took one shot between them in 30 combined minutes and scored 0 points. But they did take the role of Bol in that in the rotation. And again, it's always one of those things that when someone's putting up numbers, we've got 7 rotation players are out, you need to believe more what you're seeing with your eyes and a lot of the other numbers versus like, ooh, counting stats, look how good he is. Some of that will help you, inform you, especially if you are a deeper league or a dynasty league fantasy player, is that some of this stuff just has a distinct smell of unsustainability, which is exactly what it was. And it reeked with Bol for me of being completely unsustainable. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The tournament is heating up, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use, and you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers, even three-pointers drained. If we go ahead to FanDuel and have a look maybe at some games for tomorrow, let's have a look at some odds over there. The Nuggets are 6.5-point favorites against the Wizards. Yes, they're on the road, but the Wizards are on a back-to-back. There's no Kuzma. Why is that so low? Something smells a little bit there, but we can go and have a look at that and see what side we like. FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let's go to the next game. The Pistons and the Hawks. Big blowout for the Hawks because the Pistons suck. They have sucked for a long time. They have sucked for 3 straight years. They suck with their coach, their owner, their GM. Everything sucks. It doesn't help that Cade Cunningham's out, but they suck anyway. Big loss. Now, they play one more game this week. So we can analyze this game and say, man, look at that. Marvin Bagley, a legitimately fantastic game. 31 and 8, 4 threes, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Bagley doesn't get steals. He doesn't hit threes. He doesn't block shots. He doesn't hit free throws, and he's not a 63% shooter, yet he did everything in this game. He was amazing. He played 41 minutes because they had no other big men, and their other big man that played was Wiseman, who got into foul trouble. A legitimately fantastic game from Bagley, and if you have him, you drop him. I know that sounds stupid, but if you hold on to him, you don't get this game repeated tomorrow. You get one more game in 5 more days. And I know this is a good game, but if you use that roster spot correctly, you will get 5 games, and that will be better than 1 game of Marvin Bagley. Absolutely no questions asked whatsoever. It's a great game. We drop him. We also drop his son, Marvin Bagley IV. James Wiseman had 6 and 5 in a true Bagley. 0 threes, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 33% shooting, fouled out, and was a minus 23. He remains not good. Same with Bagley. These people are going to get sucked in here. I don't know what's going to happen with this team next year, but they are still the same player. Nothing has changed. They can flash some counting stats, but still nothing has changed. Drop him. Jaden Ivey, 17, 4 and 5 on 32%. We thought Ivey was making some strides. No. He's 278th over the last week, 182nd for the season, and I haven't done it yet, but let's do it now for all of these guys.
Get that garbage out of here!
He is in no way good enough to hold on for the rest of the week. The only player who's even close to being good enough to hold on to, and he isn't, is Killian Hayes. 21, 2 and 6 on 41% shooting. Unbelievable to see a 28 usage game from Hayes. He was great here. He's actually top 100 over the last week. Their highest ranked player over the last week. Second is Scooter Magruder, I believe. Oh, no. Second is Scooter Magruder. That's not true. Bagley's the number 1 ranked player. My apologies. Bagley, Hayes, Magruder. But with 1 game left, move on. Who cares? You get him back next week if you're still going next week. Roto, different story. As for Magruder, finally, the guy who's not very good turned into the player that he is. 7 points, 29% shooting, 2 steals. It was always insane what was happening with him and his production, even in the minutes, and he dropped back to earth. Yeah, you can stream him in next time he plays if this is still the rotation they go with. We still haven't heard anything about Bojan Bogdanovic. He's done. I'm ruling him out. I've heard nothing on this. Nothing at all. He's done, though. Alec Burks, similarly done. I think Isaiah Livers will come back, and that will have an impact on Magruder and Omoruyi and guys like that. Corey Joseph still got his 25 minutes. He had 12 points, but we drop him, obviously. And then Omoruyi, 4 and 9 in 24, just a deeper league guy. For the Hawks, DeJounte Murray was out with an illness, and we don't know his status for tomorrow. It seems like he might be in doubt. Without him, they started Bogdanovic. 18 points, 4 triples, nothing else, 27 minutes. But it's very hard to judge this Hawks team, considering this was an ass-kicking of the highest order. So they limited a lot of these guys. But without Murray, Bogdanovic got a boost. Hunter didn't. I thought he might. And I thought Sadiq Bey might. But the depressed penis stayed under 20 minutes. Now, he doubled, 14 and 11. Shot an unfathomable 39%. Also unfathomable. He's done it lots of times. But he had high usage, inefficient. He's the same guy. He's also terrible. 277th over the last week. And is not worth a roster spot. Although, if you do have Bey, there's no point dropping him when he does play tomorrow. Just get something in there for it. The Baptist looks to be sort of back. Johnny Collins, 15 and 8, a steal on a block. It's not killing it. It's not dominating. But he's also not killing you. He's just being solid. And there was this period there where he wasn't. And then the minutes between Capella and Okongwu continue to be confusing. Capella played 25 and had 12 and 16 with 2 steals and 2 blocks, an undoubtedly very good game. While Okongwu went under 20 minutes and had 7 and 8 with a steal and 3 blocks, also a very good game. It's very hard to trust players who get under 20 minutes a night, but Okongwu was able to get it done here. But I don't even know that he's going to play under 20 a night as we move forward. Adrian Griffin played 18 minutes, had 11 points with Jalen Johnson out. He's got a regular rotation spot. I thought he would have done a little bit more with DeJounte out, but it didn't happen that way. While Trey had 30 points, 12 assists, didn't shoot well, but got to the line 15 times and hit 13 of those. So that is a big W there if you do have Trey Young. I mentioned this on the pregame show earlier today, and I just want to drop it randomly in the middle of this show because more people watch this show than watch the pregame show. I want you to comment on it in the comments below. I talked about the NBA playoffs, and just general sports, how I think a 1-game single elimination playoff series is just a better concept all around. And I know that everyone's going to say, well, yeah, it's just not fair. It just doesn't show who the best team is, mate. It just doesn't prove the best. It's just fluky. What if you get hot? What if you get cold? My opinion is stiff shit. If you're good, win. If you're bad, you lose. Oh, well, shit can happen. Stuff gets unlucky. But what do you think? It will never happen. The NBA will never change to a single elimination. Major League Baseball will never change. NHL will never change. None of it ever will. But what do you think? I think the fact that you can eventize single game playoffs is awesome, and it helps to grow the sport. And just think how much we love Game 7s. We love them because it's the stakes. The stakes are huge. That is what single game does. It's never going to happen, but what do you think about it? I just wanted to bring it up to a larger audience. Let's go to the next game. The Cavs and the Nets. Cavs win it pretty easily. We expect them to win. 115-109. LeVert, 31 minutes, 18 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals. We talked about how his steal rate's been unbelievable, and he kept it up, as well as his efficiency. 56 from the field and 83 from the line. Who is this man? This is not the Caris LeVert that we trudged through 60-plus games with. This is a new and improved version. Roll with it while it's happening. Don Mitchell was apparently ill, went to the back to vomit, didn't do it, but came back and had 31 points with 5 threes on 46% shooting. And Darius Garland was featured on the Buy Low show earlier today because of his poor shooting, and thankfully he shot 54%. 17, 1, and 6. Not an overall great game, but solid enough. We got the return of Jarrett Allen, who had 12 and 14 with 2 blocks, but unfortunately, 46 from Jarrett Allen from the field is bad, and 67, 2 or 3 is not great from the line either. That hurts. They kept Cedi Osman, the discman, Cedi Osman, in the rotation over Lamar Stevens. Stevens played only 6 minutes, while Osman played 23. Now, we know better than to trust Cedi Osman. It's just not a regular thing. 12, 4, and 3 with 4 triples is undoubtedly good. He is unbelievably a top 100 player over the last week. I know. I can't believe it either. And he hasn't really ever entered my radar as a 12-team streamer. But maybe he should. Maybe he's more of a 14-team streamer. But those numbers don't lie. 80% shooting lies. But he's actually produced. He's at least in the mix. Mobley had 17, 4, and 3. For the Nets, a couple of things stand out here. Cam Thomas back out of the rotation. But Day'Ron Sharpe was back in. 20 minutes for Day'Ron Sharpe, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Sometimes you watch Day'Ron Sharpe and you go, has this bloke played this game before? What's he doing? But also a guy that put up interesting numbers coming out of college from UNC, some interesting numbers last season, and a guy that has had an ability to impact fantasy. He impacted fantasy in one of the largest ways you'll ever see. Plus 27, 32 usage. So there's a myriad of fakeness happening here. He's not a 32 usage player. He's probably not a 20-minute a night player. He's probably not a 1 block every 10-minute player. But bloody hell, there is a lot to like there. He hit a 3 as well. Now, I think is he going to get regular? But he's the guy that took Cam Thomas's role, basically. They went with more of a traditional backup center. So, I don't know. I'm not adding him in 12-team leagues, but I'm not ruling it out. We already saw in the Hawks game that there is a sub-20-minute center there that is useful to have. Again, 32 usage is just no chance for Sharpe. 10 and 7, 1 block. That's 14-team league good if you can get to it. Claxton was still all right, 13 and 8 with a steal and a block, while Cam Johnson had 16 points, but his shooting's way off, 36% from the field at the moment, or in this game. And again, I talked about this in last week's Buy Low, Sell High show, talking about my feelings on Mikal Bridges, how so many were trumpeting him as a first or second round player. He is not. I will stand on that, and I've said it many times that I don't really buy him as that guy. 18 points, no threes, 43% shooting on 21 attempts, no defensive stats, no free throw attempts. He is now 119th over the last week. And yes, you can put turnovers in there and go, but look how low his turnovers are. It doesn't matter when you're doing nothing in these other areas and you're getting there through inefficient volume. I love Mikal as a player, but he is going to, maybe not now because there's been a few games in a row here, but he is going to get overdrafted in a massive way. A massive way next season. I feel really confident that I will be much lower on Bridges than what his ADP ends up being. Much lower. Royce O'Neal, 12, 8, and 2. 2 steals, 2 threes. He's great with 3 more quality games this week. I'd rather him over Finney Smith, who played 18 minutes. Yuck. What the hell? 5 and 2 for Finney Smith, while Seth Curry played 10 minutes and Joe Harris played 19. Dinwiddie was just doing what he does. 19, 5, and 11. That's just a standard Spencer Dinwiddie performance. Now the next game. Honestly, like, how do I talk? How do I talk about this Spurs team? Like, I don't really know. I don't know what I can say. I don't know how I can analyze it. They got killed, 119-84. It's an ass kicking. They didn't have Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins, Devin Vassell, and Jeremy Sohan. I think all of those guys play tomorrow. And I think that Trey Jones, Doug McDermott, and Romeo Langford all sit tomorrow. And I think that Bates Diop, Devontae Graham, and Malachi Branham are all at risk at sitting tomorrow. And then, I don't know, do they do the same alternating pattern Friday, Sunday this week? Yeah, it's distinctly possible, but I don't know. One thing we do know is that when Zach Collins is out, we stream in Sandro Mamakilishvili. 25 minutes, 20 and 5, 3 threes, 3 steals. Undoubtedly good. He'll still probably play 18 minutes tonight. So if you do have him, hold him. It's no point dropping someone who you've got for the back-to-back when they're already there. You don't have to waste an ad to get a game in. It won't be as good as today, but hold. Deeper leagues, you're going to need to pay attention to Julian Champagny. 6 and 6 in 18 minutes. It's not great, but I do think he's going to get regular minutes, while Trey Jones had 15, 5, and 8. Unbelievably good game. Probably out tomorrow. Blake Wesley, he's a chance to play tomorrow. He had 3 steals, but man, he can have some stinking nights. 14% shooting, while Branham was bad. 5 points on 18% with nothing else there. Again, I don't know whether he plays tomorrow, but with everyone back, he's not a guy that I'm all that keen on. But again, if I've got him, I don't drop him. It's pointless to do that. Devontae Graham, 15 in 24 minutes. He continues to be wildly inconsistent. Like, if he was a 0 tomorrow as a healthy scratch, I wouldn't be shocked. Or if he played 35 minutes, I also wouldn't be shocked, because there's a chance that Branham, Langford, Graham, Jones are all out. Like, also not Graham, but all those other guys are out, so he's their only point guard and has to play 30 minutes. I just don't know with this team. We just have to look at it every single day. But the absence of Johnson, Collins, Vassell, Sohan today does not mean they're out for the season. I think they are all back tomorrow, and I think that Jones, McDermott, Langford are all out tomorrow with question marks over Graham, Branham, and Bates-Diop tomorrow. For the Pelicans, Valanciunas, again, that's 3 big games in a row for the big fella.
Jonas Valanciunas.
28 minutes, 19, 15, and 5, while Ingram had 32, 4, and 7, and CJ had 15, 8, and 4. Josh Richardson, he's doing the thing. 18 minutes, 25 minutes, 18 minutes, 25 minutes. He had 10, 3, and 2 with 2 triples and a steal. If he was to play 25 a night, he's absolutely streamable, and they've got a strong quality game schedule coming up. But I don't know. They're changing it every night. While Larry Nance is probably just a stream option without much faith. Well, it was a stinker from Herb Jones. 4, 2, and 4. The 4 assists are good, but he played only 25 minutes. Yes, blowout's a factor, but otherwise just a bad game. And Murphy had 17 points with not a lot else going on. But overall, they were to win it very, very comfortably. So they didn't have to extend themselves, and they didn't. All right, the Boston Celtics beat the Kings. Kings lose 2 in a row for the first time in a while. I think over a month since they lost 2 in a row. Is Kevin Huerter that important? I don't know. But they have been unbelievably healthy all season, and they're copying it now. Well, not copying it. One person's injured, and they lost. We'll see. Hopefully they bounce back. The Celtics did bounce back in a huge way. 132-109, the final score. How about this bloke?
Maximum Derek.
I went on for years and years and saying, you know what? Derek White, I'm very sorry, kids. I'm very, very sorry. You're going to have to cover your ears. I've been saying for years, Derek White is very fucking good. And at times, he was inconsistent. At times, he got pushed into smaller roles, and it annoyed me. But you know what? He's very fucking good. 20 points, 5 threes, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 blocks. He's been awesome this year, even though he's been shunted in and out of starting lineups and had minutes pushed around. I think he's been their 3rd best player all season. Celtics fans, chime in. Do you think Derek White's been your 3rd best player this season? It's frustrating that I know what he can do. And you say, well, Rob Williams is coming back. They'll probably play him 20 minutes a night, and it'd be frustrating. But we saw Rob Williams come back. He played more minutes than anybody, and he was awesome. They limited the minutes of Williams, obviously, but also Malcolm Brogdon, so White played more. Brogdon played only 22 minutes and had 4, 3, and 3 with 2 steals. Brogdon's been awesome this season as well, but he's also tailing off a little bit at the moment. This will push him outside the top 200, I believe, over the last week. For Brogo, we do hold, but we'll see whether he's the guy that cops it or White is. As for the Rock DJ, 21 minutes in his first game back. Rob Williams, 6 points, 7 rebounds, and a block. It's not great. He had 5 fouls in that time as well. The minutes will push up a little bit. I don't think he plays 30 really before the end of the regular season, but he is worthwhile having. Well, Horford only 27 minutes. That's what happens when Rob comes back. Horford doesn't lose everything, but he doesn't have to play 32 a night. He can play 30, and he was a bit under here. Marcus Smart, also great, as was Tatum, 36, 8, and 4, and Jaylen Brown had 27, 5, and 4 on 63% shooting. For the Kings, Sabonis just did his thing, 16, 13, and 12. Terrible from the line, 2 of 6. And didn't hit a 3 as usual, while De'Aaron Fox only 29 minutes for De'Aaron Fox. 18 points and 3 assists. Not a great game, but at least he fixed his free throws. Keegan Murray played a lot, 39 minutes. 15 and 5 with 3 threes and a steal. He's really pushed the minutes up with Kevin Huerter out. That's a fine game. It's not a great game. It's a fine game, and we roster him. They've got a back-to-back at the end of this week. Terrence Davis played 5 minutes yesterday. Today he played 21. He wasn't good. I mean, he was okay. 12 points, 4 threes, not much else. But now with no game Wednesday, no game Thursday, Huerter could return Friday. You definitely drop Terrence Davis. And you could probably drop Malik Monk. 6 points in 17 minutes, a steal and a block, 14% shooting. That's shithouse. We know that. It's bad. Monk could do that. Now, I would much rather have Monk for the back-to-back Friday, Sunday than I would Terrence Davis, but I'm not sure I'd bother holding through that. And the same might go for the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Who had 11 and 5 in 25 minutes and struggled, as he has most of the season. He's just always been a fringe sort of player that you can move in and out of lineups and in and off your roster, and it doesn't really change that much. We saw Kessler Edwards start again, play bench minutes. If you're going to start him, Mike Brown, and tell us how versatile he is, like, it's so good having someone there defensively. What? Just play him like a starter? Like, you play him 18 minutes off a night off the bench, and you play him 19 as a starter. So don't tell me how good the value is and how awesome it is that he's starting and how useful he is when you play him the exact same amount that you would in another role. It doesn't actually mean that you've given him more responsibilities. You've done nothing. I don't care because Kes Edwards is a good player and they got him for absolutely for free from the Nets, but I don't get this point of starting someone and just not playing them. Davion Mitchell, 19 minutes, 13 points, one of his better games as well, while Trey Lyles played like 25 minutes yesterday and today played 10 for 0 points. He really struggled and he's sort of off the stream menu now. He's fallen away. He has these little hot patches, these little hot streaks where you go, holy shit, what's this? Trey Lyles. And then you see everyone on Twitter, man, Trey Lyles is going to get paid so much money next year. And I go, is he though? I don't think so. And then he has these games, as usual, not criticizing these people because people love talking positive about their team, unless there are certain fans who only love talking negative, but you know what I mean. They only highlight one side of things. Is that you won't hear anything about Trey Lyles. You won't hear a peep of him going 0 points in 10 minutes. You won't hear anything about it. You'll just hear the next time he has a game of 12 and 5 in 15 minutes, oh, he's going to get paid. He's been awesome. But we have to look at everything from the fantasy point of view, and there's shit ones in the middle. And Trey Lyles is 248th this season. He's 258th over the last week, and he has little patches that it's always risky that he's not consistently good. And if you just pick out the positive things that you hear, that's what sometimes makes me feel like a hater when I just highlight the negatives that people do, because I try to highlight both sides of things. If you just follow the social media trends on certain things, you would think this guy's doing a lot more than he actually is. So that is it's a very important skill to learn as a fantasy manager. All right, let's do the last game. Quite a bit to talk about in this game, actually, because the Thunder get the win 101-100. We'll talk about Paul George in a second. The Thunder get the win. How about the Bronco, Jalen Williams?
Broncos country, let's ride.
20 and 8, steal a block, elite efficiency. He's unbelievable. He's now top 80 on the season. It just keeps going up. While Shea had 31, 7 and 4, and we got the good news about him probably maybe not sitting back-to-backs anymore. Just W's all around. Josh Giddey, 13, 6 and 6. Definitely not a great game there, but they were all pretty strong. Pig Williams only played 11 minutes. He got 4 fouls, and he didn't start the second half. In fact, I don't think he even played in the second half, but at least that got me a chance to do this because our mate Olivier Sarr was back.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
19 minutes for Sarr, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. This guy was a tanking legend at the end of last season. He's at least someone to keep an eye on if they use him as the backup center, but don't get too excited there. While Midwest Dylan Brooks was horrible, except 7 points, 11 shots, 27%. Putrid, disgustingly bad fantasy game. 7 and 6, he does this all the time. He had a little hot streak, but we don't trust it at all. And then he locked up Kawhi Leonard on the game's final play, and Kawhi could not even get a shot off. Kawhi had like the full 22 seconds, down 1 point with the ball. Couldn't even get a shot up because Dort killed him. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe, what are you doing, Kawhi? Just shoot it. What is going on here? Dort locked him up. That's what Dort brings. He's just horrible offensively and takes too many bad shots. But defensively, he has dropped off a little bit defensively, but that was unbelievable. That performance at the end of that game was staggering to see. Just Kawhi can't even get a shot off. I can't believe that happened. On the Clippers side of things, let's talk about Paul George because he suffered an injury late in the game and it looked bad. He copped like a knock midair from Dort and landed and his knee buckled backwards. So a hyperextension. Hyperextension is not an injury. Hyperextension is a mechanism of action. So we don't know what this means. A meniscus injury, an MCL, probably not MCL, PCL, ACL. I don't know, right? But I would be extraordinarily surprised if Paul George plays this week. If your league ends this week, it is a risky decision, right? Because they play again Thursday, Saturday, 2 more games. I would be flabbergasted if George plays those 2 games. It looked bad. Even if it's not bad, there's still going to be some sort of swelling or something, and you would think that he would not play 2 games. He would sit out the next 5 days is my guess. It is a risk. What if everything is fine and he plays and you've missed out on Paul George? That is a risk. But and I would like to wait to hear, and I'm recording this now. I'm recording this just after the game finished. I think it's really, really unlikely that George is back this week. In fact, there is a higher chance to me that George doesn't play the regular season and then sits out, ready for the playoffs, than he returns this week. Stay tuned to Twitter and all that sort of stuff to see, what goes on with his production, with his return. At this point, I just don't know, and I don't think we're going to get any information. So I'm not going to hang around and wait for the show, waiting for hours to get that sort of information, because I just don't think it's going to come tonight. But I would be, I'd be pretty surprised if we see George play. It just looked bad. Now, in terms of replacements, it's hard to look at this game because Terrence Mann got ejected in the first half. He is going to be the replacement, would be my guess. He will slot into the starting lineup. I don't think he's going to be a great option, but he would be the guy that I would try. It's a little bit extra for Batum, a little bit extra for Eric Gordon. And going by what we saw from Robert Covington today, maybe not a little bit extra for me. He was honestly horrible. 2 points on 13% shooting. He was so bad. But maybe they give him some minutes, but he's not the guy that I would add. It would be Terrence Mann if I add anybody. It helps, as I said, Marcus Morris plays 30 minutes. It helps Eric Gordon, who was bad, 5 points in 28 minutes. It helps Batum, who had 5 points in 24 minutes, but they're still just fringy sort of guys. I would go Mann, Gordon, Batum, Morris, or Mann, Gordon, Morris, Batum, sort of in that order in terms of pickups. Kawhi had 21, 6, and 5. Not his best game at all. While Westbrook had 15 and 8 with 2 steals and a block and shot well from the field, but badly from the line. Kawhi was also pretty poor from the line. The Cockroach had 12 rebounds. That's what he's good for. He's a rebound stream, Mason Plumlee. Well, Zubac's only 19 minutes there. Foul trouble limited him. Interestingly, with foul trouble for Zubac's, Cockroach, Plumlee still only played 21 minutes. 19 for Zubac's, 21 for Plumlee. And then they didn't really do it. There wasn't really a huge amount else to talk about, I don't think, from the Clippers' point of view. We all wait to see what happens with Paul George, but I would, I'm expecting time off. I'm expecting the rest of this week, absolute bare minimum. And I think probably rest of the regular season, which is 2.5 weeks, is probably could be a best case scenario. Hopefully it's not bad. Fingers crossed. The lines of the night, the monstrous does go to Marvin Bagley. Your waiver wire line of the night goes to Gary Harris. Your young gun is Paolo Banchero, and the dud of the night is Herb Jones. Top 10 players today in category leagues. Number 1 was Bagley, followed by Ingram, Derek White, Porzingis, Gary Harris, Valanciunas, Banchero, Day'Ron Sharpe, Trae Young, and Jaylen Brown. Your top 10 players rostered in under 50% of leagues. Gary Harris, he's just a 3-point streamer. It was a good game today. Day'Ron Sharpe, we are absolutely watching that, but we're not expecting 32 usage from him. Deeper league, try it, but he honestly had been out of the rotation. You could try it in a deeper league. Sandro Mamakilishvili, good stream today. Good stream when Zach Collins is out. If you have him, hold him for tomorrow and then move on from there. Denny Avdia, yeah, but he was an 83% shooter. That's not real. He's an okay stream, though, with Kuzma out. Osman, deeper leagues. Monte Morris, worth a look in 12s. Royce O'Neal, worth a look in 12s. Corey Joseph, only one more game, drop him. Grant Williams, no thanks. And, of course, old mate,
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
I can't remember. Did I actually ever call him get him a nickname or just give him the sound drop? Maybe we'll just call him the Wizard. The Wizard, Olivier Sarr. Keep an eye to see what happens there for deeper formats. For your points leagues, top 10 today, number 1 is Bagley, followed by Tatum, White, Porzingis, Young, Sabonis, Ingram, George, Sharp, and Clint Capella. And that will do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app and on YouTube. Thumb it up and leave those comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.